All right, so let's call this activity image tracing demo. All right, because that's what we're trying to learn how to do, is use this tool here. Our size, we'll use the print setting, letter size, just kind of normal setup. Just double check it's correct by changing our units to inches over here. All right, so we have 8.5 by 11. All right, and then we will start by just placing those two images. So let's see, here's one. And just make it maybe like a quarter the size of your page. All right, I'll go and get this one also. Save image as. I'm going to save it. It should be in here. So I'll place the two of them. And there and there. All right. All right, and let's get put a little heading on here. All right, so I'm going to use my text tool. All right, maybe make this a little bit bigger so it stands out. Remember, for this project, we want our title to be the most, or the first thing seen there. And we'll get, so we have our title here, which maybe isn't the most glamorous thing to look at, but it does stand out. We can see this, it has some emphasis. And then we're going to write underneath here a definition or a little bit of description on how we do this. Alright, so turns an image into vector art. Alright, what do we know the advantage of vector art is? Resizing primarily, right? And we can resize and it doesn't lose its quality, right? So we can put a couple little labels underneath here, I think, to kind of show what we're doing here. I'm just copying my box so that I can not have to, keep my sizes the same. So we'll say this was internet image, right? And then this would be a hand-drawn image. Kind of both of the same thing. Alright, the reason I chose a trophy today was I reminded you guys we are going to be doing a t-shirt and pin design for Skills USA. And their motto is champions at work, so I found a picture of a trophy. I thought that was kind of appropriate. And maybe I was thinking that you could make some word art that would kind of fill in one of these trophies. Alright, so this demo activity might actually be a good start for you to doing your t-shirt or your pin design. Alright, so what we're going to do, and so we have these two pictures. These are our originals. Alright, so let's make a copy of both of the pictures. Alright, and then we'll go through the process of image tracing. Alright, any questions so far? So this is a science activity. I would expect it to look pretty much exactly like this. I mean, your sizes and positions can be a little different, but you should have all the same components. Casey, question?
When I placed the drawn image into my document, it was just a blank image. So
Maybe you didn't save it right? Try resaving it as an image. Alright, so I'm going to write a couple things up here and then I'll come and make sure you got that there. So I'm going to outline the process here, alright? Actually, I'm going to add it to this. So what we're going to do to turn the image into the vector art is first select the object. to be vectorized, we'll say, right? Because we want to think about which object we want to have vectorized. I'm going to have to move this stuff down a little bit. And expand my box so that I have a little more room. Alright, number 2 would be to open the image trace palette. So how do we open palettes? Or where do we find our palettes if we don't see them on our screen? Window, right? So this is the palette we want. So we go to Window and then Image Trace, just check that off. Alright. Then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to select the type of image it is, or kind of like the color mode. Alright, so in this case, for their internet picture, right, because if I don't have any picture selected, all my options on my image trace palette are grayed out. But now when I choose this picture, we have some options, right? So the mode actually is what we're looking for. Is this color, grayscale, or black and white? Well, I guess you could turn it black and white if you wanted to, but isn't there color in this, Mike? So if we want to keep that color, we have to choose the color option. And then if you press preview, it's going to apply that and show you your result as a preview. Now, what you want to see happen is that really there is no real difference between the JPEG and your vector, right? And I think that's the case here, right? I mean, actually, it actually cleaned it up. If we look at the edge of this JPEG, it's a little bit rough, whereas if we now look at this down here, it smoothed out all those edges. All right, so that's a good thing. All right. So we select the image, the image mode. I'm going to retype that. And we'll say the image mode that matches the picture, right? I think that's a little better. All right, so once we do that, we are previewing, it's actually done our tracing. All right, and then there should be an option here. I don't know why it's not popping up. There should be image trace. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to expand, because right now it's just one big grouped thing. Because in the end, I would think you'd want to go back and be able to change certain colors of this and really, make it whatever you want it to be. So we're going to say object expand. All right, you get this option that says it allows you to expand the object and the fill. I usually do keep both of those checked off. So now you can see that there's different paths created, right? It's no longer one big object. All right, so that's the first thing after. Actually, I should have put that on here. Number 4, Mike. All right, let me finish this one step there, and I'll come around and see if anybody needs help. All right, so click preview to see results, and then we'll say object expand to convert to paths. Alright, so after we expand it, now it's still grouped, alright? So right now it's all together, so then you just have to ungroup it, and actually you usually have to ungroup it twice. Don't ask me why. So I'm going to say object ungroup. So watch, if we do this one time, object ungroup, it's still like all together. So then we do object ungroup again. Now we can select on individual parts and we can change this. All right. So I'm just going to copy this direction here. So it's not an error that it's repeated. It is necessary to ungroup twice. So what I'd like you to do is, just to kind of prove that you have done this tracing, change the color of the trophy. All right, let's maybe we make it like a bronzish type of color in here. So that's the light, or actually that's the lightest. Maybe I'll make it more of like a silvery type of thing if I can. Alright, so, and again, you know, if we talk about copyright issues and stuff like that, we are modifying the original. We are not making it the same as it was. So this, I believe, would kind of be a strong case to, you know, use something you find online and make it your own. Alright, so maybe I take this shape over here now on this side, and I can use my eyedropper, do something like that. Now, I guess maybe one of the drawbacks of this is you can, if you are trying to get some of these colors here, it makes all these paths. So check out this tool. Let's see if this works. Instead of trying to find all these little paths in here, if I wanted to change the color of this, I could hopefully go up to Select, Same, Fill Color, and I guess those colors are slightly different because that did not select. I was hoping it would have selected all those. Let's try that one more time. Select, Same, Fill, End Stroke. Nah, that really didn't get a lot more of that. It'd be nice if there was like a quick selection tool in here. Well, actually, there's a magic wand. I haven't really used that too much in this, but actually that looks like that is getting that. So if you're trying to get this section here with all these little individual paths, it kind of seems like that the magic wand tool is pretty good for that. Alright, so kind of bringing in some of the Photoshop tools into Illustrator here, we would have that going on with that. Alright, so change the color of your trophy and make it something different. Ooh, that's not what I want. At least the top of it, alright, just to kind of show that you have done your image tracing. Alright, and then repeat the same process for your hand-drawn one. Now this probably won't come out as good. I would probably use black and white for this one instead of color. I mean, you can see the results when you do it. Ooh. Now it kind of disappeared there, so we can kind of play around with our settings here. There we go. So now I'm getting it. Alright. So I had to change the threshold here for the black and the hand-drawn one, right? Because by default, I don't know if I can undo this now. Alright, so this was our hand-drawn thing, and if we just go to black and white at that 128 threshold, I guess that line thickness is not enough for it to recognize. So if we move this threshold up to, let's see what looks like a good number there. I'm going to zoom in even more to see that also.
What if they're all individual pieces because I ungrouped twice?
Well, then try using the magic wand like I was saying. So this is pretty close. There's a little bit of a gap missing there. There are some other options here if you go to advanced. I haven't played with these too much. It would be kind of a little bit of trial and error there. It does adjust your corners and things like that, but I first did this with a pencil drawing, and it was really hard to recognize it and kind of smooth it out. But I traced over the drawing with marker, and it definitely results in something a little bit better. So if you do want to hand draw a shape, which I am requiring you do for your word art project, well, actually not necessarily hand drawn, but you have to find a shape that's really not in the that word art site. All right, but so this would be what you would do with that. So I'm going to expand this object and fill, and then ungroup it again twice. And another thing that's kind of, I think, worth talking about, when it does the tracing, it traces the positive and the negative space. So I could actually go in here and make this area around here like a different color like that. We could kind of do the same thing here. So you notice it does pick up those negative areas.
What tab is the magic wand under?
It's just in your tool palette on the, it's underneath the selection tool.
How did we notice
All right. And what I'm doing also is I'm using the eyedropper tool to sample colors. So actually this came out a little better than I thought it would. So once I get this color, I can just use my eyedropper and click on these. All right, so I think this is a pretty good explanation of how the image tracing works. And this should help you, definitely for your word art project, and possibly when we do the Skills USA pin and t-shirt design.